Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Everyday EDC. My name is Tyler, and today we have the QSP Phoenix. Move this out of the way for now. So this Phoenix, with the Civivi Dogma, not the Dogma, the Civivi Ortiz, I kind of did more research than I did with this. This one's more kind of a show and tell, find out. It is a review, but I didn't look up the specs before I did anything, so this might be a little bit more choppy. But this Phoenix comes in with this Warncliffe style blade. Very, very, very functional blade. Oh my goodness, can I say very functional blade again? And it's not super thin behind the edge. But I mentioned this when I was talking about the slicey, when I was doing the pickle rig video, right? The sliciness of this isn't the sliciest freaking blade, but I don't feel like that's what they're going for here. This type of blade reminds me of something that I'm gonna take to work at the mill, and I'm gonna do what I have to do and not worry about it. And I don't feel like I'm gonna damage this thing. This thing is robust. A very, very robust blade. I didn't like it at first, and it straight up grew on me. D2 blade, satin finish with this black, they got the DLC coating on the top, or whatever you call it, from QSP. G10 on the scales. A deep carry pocket clip with just a little bit hanging out, not obnoxious. A G10 backspacer. Nice lanyard hold that's non-obtrusive. An ambidextrous pocket clip with a case that goes over the top, or a little plate that goes over the top, which is nice. You don't have that little hole, but then again, I don't know if it matches or not. I'm not a super huge fan of the aesthetics of this knife. I got it because I was on a QSP kick, still am, but it's very, very nice. The action is on these ceramic ball bearings, and oh my gosh, the blade's heavy, so it gives you that. Oof. But QSP, this thing broke in super nice, by the way. It did have a little bit of lock stick in the beginning until I wore off some of the coating, and it no longer has the lock stick either. It came perfectly centered with no blade play left, right, up and down, or anything. And I've been fidgeting with it for a while. So let's get into some specs of this guy. Start off with the weight. All right. It's a fairly heavy knife, coming in at 5.16 ounces. It's not a joker when it comes to weight. This weight is fairly heavy, but it is a fairly large knife as well. Let's check the overall length. The overall length of this guy's coming in at almost 9 inches, about 8 3/4 of an inch. The blade length is coming in at about just under 4 inches. We'll call it like 4 7/8, if you will. And then the overall cutting edge is a little under 3 3/4. So you're getting a ton of blade length. So to put that in perspective, a 3 3/4, and the overall length of this is about 5 inches. It's okay, blade to length ratio. That's all right. Now, last but not least, let's get out our handy dandy new calipers. Interesting. All right. So the blade stock thickness on this is coming in at 140 thousandths. Not too large, but you're getting on the cusp of, the heavy duty working knives. I believe I remember MC saying that the hinderers are coming in at like 155 thousandths. So the behind the edge thickness, and I did this before, so I kind of trust this measurement as opposed to my other ones, is coming in at about 30 thousandths. Let's see here. Yeah, it's about 30 thousandths behind the edge. So again, it's not the sliciest of blades. But I went over this. I don't necessarily prefer a slicey blade. It just depends on the task that you're doing. If you're doing very fine detail work, you're going to need it. But this is a working knife. This is a knife that you want to take out and just go. You won't have any problems with this guy. So here is your Rat Model 1 and your Rat Model 2. Obviously, a little bit longer than your Rat Model 1, so that puts it into perspective at how large this thing actually is. Here's your feldspar and your mini feldspar. As you can see, much longer than both. I don't have too many knives that are actually longer than this guy. I will do a comparison with this. I have a Tucson TS16, 16? 68? I don't remember. It's a Tucson. It's the first one I got. I got it off of Amazon for like 40 bucks. Not very happy with it. It's actually on loan for the past 2 weeks to a guy at work. So I'm supposed to sharpen his knife, and I just haven't gotten around to it. Here's your Civivi sandwich, the Civivi Backlash, and the Civivi Ortiz. Odium, the Civivi Odium. The hell? I am all over the place. Check yourself. Chickadee, chickadee, check yourself. Here's your Spyderco Manix 2. And your Spyderco Astute. As you can see, still longer than both of these knives. The one thing I didn't check for you guys is the overall height of this knife. It's actually not too tall. Coming in at 1.2 inches. So that's not bad at all. That's fairly average for a knife, unless you're a Spyderco. And the overall handle thickness coming in at about 0.6 of an inch. 0.6, which is thicker than most, but that's what gives it this robust feel. This thing does feel robust. The ergonomics, while it's straightforward, it's a freaking line, and you really don't get much out of it. The ergonomics, I mean, are actually, I think because the handle's a little bit thicker, it works. If I had to grade it out of 10, I mean, I would give this thing probably a 7. It's pretty ergonomically sound. It's not fantastic, but it's decent. Again, the action's great. Let's see here. The edges are nicely chamfered. Right here. We got some jimping right here. Very narrow jimping. Yeah, you can lock in with it. I don't think I find that necessary. Decent sharpening choil right there. Let's see here. The flipper tab is a little bit of a pecker right there. When you don't try to say pocket pecker, it's hilarious. This thing's a freaking pecker. Yeah, it's a little large, but it's a larger knife, so if you don't care about the size of this knife, that pocket, God damn it, why do you always mess up the pocket pecker versus the flipper tab? The flipper tab, if you don't care about the size of this knife, you're not going to care about that flipper tab. Let's check the hardware. All right, so that's a T8 on the pivot, but unfortunately the rest of the screws are a T6, which is okay. I stripped out my first T6 and my T6 bits, so I went to Menards and I bought a bunch of Torx heads. Now, off topic, the Weehaw bit driver, awesome. I have the Kershaw driver somewhere around here that somebody corrected, because I didn't even know what it was. They had a big K on it, so I assumed it was like a KME or something. But now these are awesome, but I'm gonna do a video and show you guys how cheap you can get an awesome set to do anything you need to do with a knife for $5. Just go look at the freaking budget aisle in Menards, and like the clearance rack, and they have a thing that looks like this that has 20 bits in it with the driver. Like there's nothing that you don't need it. I'm not hating on these. I know everybody loves these things, and it's because the knife world, it's made by a knife company, you want to buy it. But that thing was also like $24 for this driver, and all you're getting is, this, which is nice. Don't get me wrong. This is a very high quality piece, but for most of us that would rather spend the money on another knife because we don't have a ton of money or a ton of knives come after bills, unfortunately. You gotta look where you can save. So you can save on that by going to Menards, but if you want one of these, they're like $24. The Kershaw one was like 16. Off topic. So overall, I believe, don't kill me on this, I believe this knife came in at about $45. It was in between the $40 and like $55 mark. So do I think it's worth it? Yeah. If you're looking for a different style knife with that nice sheep's foot style blade, a little bit of heft to it that you can just bear down on, you're going to be able to bear down on this knife very well. QSP, I think, did a really good job, and I wasn't impressed at face value, but then I carried it. And that's why I carry the knives for a while, because I want to see if it's going to grow on me and what I actually like about it, rather than just spouting off some specs and shit. So that's about it, guys. QSP Phoenix, a very, very good little knife. Now, does it compete with my Copperhead? You guys know the love for the Copperhead. I don't know. That's a dangerous mark, but the Copperhead was $60, so give it a little bit of a break. Other than that, my name is Tyler. This has been Everyday EDC. Stay sharp. Stay safe. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great freaking day. Wear your freaking masks.